doing it. It's just happening.
You're doing
Hello
it.
and welcome to the Chris and Jack podcast that we like to call Chris and Jack's Podcast Pilots, the podcast. A podcast where we pilot other podcasts for see which podcast we should podcast.
I'm going to say slickest intro yet. And
Thank you.
Best held Val at the end of that stretch. Yeah, really
It's a
strong.
Pleasing sound for me to hold out.
Just a reminder.
You know what it is.
Just a reminder to y'all. We're gonna each audition a new pilot for our podcast to see if this is the one. Is this the one we do another episode of one day? Is this the one that blows up into the biggest series the world has ever listened?
Whoa. I say every week that I don't look up the podcasts. So if we do something that's already a podcast, sorry about that. But this week I did check one idea because I was like, that sounds kind of familiar. Is that a podcast? And then it was a podcast. So we're not going to be doing a podcast where we sequentially review all of the Now That's What I Call Music albums.
Oh.
Because that's already a podcast. But check that out. Maybe it's good. I don't know. I'm not endorsing it. I've never heard it.
I'd be curious how you get around rights issues with that.
I think they just talk about it probably and don't play them.
Makes sense. This is a good tie-in. Or maybe now, just as a brand, fully embraces the podcast, and they're like, you know what? Hey,
It might be SpawnCon.
We'll see if that works out for us in the long run.
Mild spoiler, we're gonna be talking about a lot of very specific products in mine, but none of them are sponsored.
A little foreshadowing for you all out there. What we're gonna be doing.
You know a little, Chris. I'll let you guys in on the secret why, but Chris knows a little about my podcast today, even though usually we don't tell each other. I told him a little bit. I had to.
There was some necessary pre-work for this upcoming one, which I'm very excited about, but I don't know everything. So neither of us actually know everything.
I'll tell you, you do. you know as much as I know, bro.
The plan here, we're each going to take turns pitching our podcast, doing our podcast with the other. Largely, we don't know what these are. This time, we have like a shimmering glimmer of what might be on the horizon. We're going to set a timer for 30 minutes, and then we're going to see how it plays out. At the end, we're going to decide whether this was a good podcast by answering whether or not it was fun, was it repeatable, and does it add any value to the world? Boom. And then you all can vote what you think.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start this. I'm gonna start a timer for 30 minutes. The reason Chris knows a little bit about this podcast today is because I had to drop
a little care package,
a bunch of stuff off. I had to drop a little care package off at his house, and he had to put it in the fridge.
Jack's going first today, by the way, because last time I went first.
Yeah.
We try to alternate.
So, Chris, this is a taste test pod. This is a pod where I've just bought us a bunch of sodas.
Yep.
And we're gonna taste test them. Couple of things to preface up front. I had the idea that it'd be fun. I could drop some stuff off at your house. We could both eat them at the same time. That'd be fun. I thought maybe some chips, maybe some candy. I don't know. That'd be fun. And then I remembered that I knew where there was a grocery store that had a really impressive that specifically has a soda collection. It's a soda pop shop. So I was like, that's perfect. Now I don't like soda. So I chose this for its ease of me getting some interesting varietals, but I don't particularly like soda. So I'm not holding myself up as an expert here.
But on this podcast, you got to be an adventurous spirit, you know?
That's what it's about. I got stuff that just was ooh, that looks interesting. That's a flavor I'm not familiar with. So we're just gonna try some stuff. The reason I don't like soda is when I was a kid, I was afraid of carbonation. So I'm just going to be honest about that right now. I was afraid of carbonation. I thought it was too intense.
Gotta pause this for a second. Couple things.
Yeah.
First, I'm very excited about this. I feel like it didn't get the big exuberance of excitement because we both knew what was coming up here a little bit.
Because I knew I didn't get to drop the bomb on you.
I am kind of a soda fan, but I had more of a soda phase as a kid. I was more like the Pepsi Coke kid. Okay. Pepsi, by the way, was my choice. Controversial. Whoa. But lately, I've been less on the soda game. I haven't been in sodas as much, but I'm still
these,
open to them.
I assume, are all the hottest sodas. As someone who's not out there in the soda world, I assume these are the hottest ones.
I will start by
I'm
saying,
very glad to hear you like it, so that we have that.
Yes, I want to make sure it's clear, though. I have zero fear of carbonation, and I want to know where this started, and I want to know what about carbonation is scary. Was that you thought your guts were going to explode from bubbles? Was it that it hurt?
No. It was not an existential thinking about what the carbonation was going to do to me fear. It was like as I drank it, I would just be like, when's it gonna bubble?
Oh.
And I found the sensation of it going in my nose and stuff kind of intense. Also, I think maybe, and I'm realizing this now, maybe part of the association is because I still have asthma, but I had pretty bad childhood asthma. And sometimes, if I did not have an inhaler around, a common technique was someone would give me soda to drink because, the caffeine, because carbonation is good, but then also the caffeine immediately helps open up your lungs. So maybe I associate soda with lung trauma.
I can't wait to crack into these bottles, man, and really face some past trauma.
Yeah, and then I started drinking beer, and I got completely over carbonation. But then at that point, it was like I'm an adult with very indulgent tastes in a lot of things, and so if I could just if I just have this one area where I don't drink soda, that seems smart for me. I didn't feel the need to change that in my life, but today I'm going to change that in a big way. It's only a 30-minute podcast, Chris. I bought us 6 sodas, so we're gonna
have to polish through these very quickly.
We'll see how this goes. We don't necessarily have to finish them. The goal is just to have a nice taste and reflect on that taste.
I also like that there's I think the choice for sodas / liquids, good choice for a podcast, because I feel like if we were munching on chips, that might be a lot.
Yeah, it'd be terrible. This you might get a satisfying pop of a bottle little ASMR, but you're not going to be just hearing our mouths.
Wow, yeah, I feel like the Cool Ranch competes a little bit on the Verde. Yeah. I think I can't really. Right?
So I got some sodas from around the world. We're going to try some stuff.
Oh, let's go global, man. Let's go.
We're going to go global a little bit.
This is really exciting, too, because I love travel.
Yes. And I want to be clear. If I don't like a soda, it is not an indictment of people who like the soda or where in the world that soda comes from. It's because I don't like soda very much.
Right.
So here we go. Why don't we start with
for the audio side? Make sure the bottles are clanking while you get them out. Give them an ASMR experience.
I put it. I'm in my my little booth here out in the garage. So I got a little cooler bag and filled it up. Why don't we start with one that I think is what would be considered Oh, by the way, I wrote down the name. Hold on. Wait, now we're starting officially, so here I can give you the name. Here were my backup names.
Yes.
Pop quiz, soda pops, pop quiz, but it's not really. It's not.
You're not quizzing
that would be better
me. It's
if it was
not a blind taste test.
If it was blind, then this would be a good name, but it's not blind, so I didn't go with that. Pop in bottles. Pop in bottles, but it's pop in bottles. But some of them are in cans, so that was bad.
Right.
Here's our runner-up. I felt good about this one, but it's not really the spirit with which we're approaching this. So you'll see why I cut it. But collaborators. Collaborators. It sounds like collaborators, but we're berating a cola. if there's one we don't like, we can say for a moment the show is called Collaborators. But I went with Sodats what that tastes like. Sodats what that tastes like.
Spell it for me. SODA.
SODAT. Apostrophe. Sodats what that tastes like.
So that,
the second one could just be the word that. So that's what that tastes like.
So that's SODA apostrophe T. So that what? So that what? That's
so SODAT apostrophe S is what I went with.
So that
what? So that.
Yeah.
But I'm really even having to stretch the word dat because duh is the sound in soda.
You're right.
So that's what that tastes like. So, here we go. Let's start with.
Ooh, that's great. I'm loving the clanking. I'll give some over here too.
Clank.
And to be clear, Jack did genuinely before an hour before we recorded this, literally just came to my apartment with a box of bottles.
The cardboard box full of
and then it was just a little
I was like, cool, talk to you later,
like a
man.
little high wave, and then he just left. I just got a box of bottles, and then it's just like, cool, we'll see each other and talk to each other, I guess, in an hour, digitally, but I saw him.
Okay, we're going to start with the... I think it's maybe smart to start with what I'm going to guess is the mildest flavor.
Yes,
so why don't we pull out... or it's like, I assume this will be like refreshing and light and might get overpowered by some other flavors later. So pull out the Mr. Cucumber.
Mr. Cucumber. I love the
Mr. Q.
Very punny. It feels right for this podcast.
Last name.
The way the name is kind of playing out here.
It's made by, I assume, Quentin Cumber.
Yes.
It is a. Where's it bottled? Does it say? Oh, man, I meant to look. It's bottled in Florida. It's bottled in Pompano Beach, Florida, and it's a cucumber sparkling beverage. Some of these are soda adjacent, you know?
Yeah, and are we trying to, like, grade these presumably by the end? Like, what was our favorite? Sure. Are we just trying to, like...
I think you describe your experience.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we can pick a fave and a least fave. We just want to make sure we know... So that's what that tastes like. It's not even, we just have to identify what that tastes like.
Well, we got to give a good open sound.
Oh, wait. I had already picked which one we were going to start with, and I had taken it out of the thing. That's why it wasn't in there when I was looking for it. All right, whatever.
Very organized.
Oh, I can't get mine open. Oh, nice.
Ooh, did you guys hear that one? This is a screw-off cap.
Screw-off cap.
It's looking very, I'll say the liquid looks nice and like light green, almost like a clear green here. Nice glass bottle with the screw off top. I'm gonna pour it in this glass.
I'm gonna say light amount of carbonation here. This is a lighter amount of carbonation. I would not be scared of that.
To the smell, very cucumbery.
Accurately marketed.
Here's the thing about me too, is that like I'm glad it tells me what is going on in there, because the moment someone hands me a glass of wine or a beer and is like, so what are you picking up on in there? I freeze. If I smelled this, I'd be like,
identify the notes.
It's mangoes or it's chocolate. They're like, no, that's cucumber. Now I smell it. It's
exactly cucumber, bro.
Yeah. All right.
Take a sip. I'm gonna take a sip as well. Oh, it is fizzy.
The fizziness hits you inside, like when it gets in there.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it, Jack, because it's sweet. It's sweet, but it's got that cucumber freshness that doesn't make it too sweet.
It is sweeter than I imagined. I was thinking it would be like cucumber water at a fancy massage place, but it's not. It's definitely
a real, like, I'd finish this whole thing and I'd be like, got my sugar for the day. There's a level of like, that's the sweetness I guess I needed.
Yeah, well, it's got 29 grams of sugars.
Okay.
In there. Well, 12% of your daily value.
I wonder if Pompano...
So don't stop there, Chris. You need...
Yeah, you're right.
You need 88% more sugar.
But maybe Pompano, known for their sugars? Yeah.
The local Florida sugars.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, actually, right? Cane sugar in Florida? That's the thing.
See, think about all the stuff we're learning already on this cast.
We're learning so much. Mr. Cucumber, do you have an initial... Do you like it?
I like it, yes, but I hesitate to give like a how many dats out of one soda. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
you got to build the scale over time. So we're just gonna get initial. Also, you can circle back. They're all gonna stay here in front of us.
What I'm excited to do is I'm gonna set them on the other side of my desk here in an arrangement, and I'm gonna like organize them on the fly. And then by the end, maybe we'll see if our arrangements match.
Oh, you're gonna rank them on the fly?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of like. But by the end, I can always shuffle them as we get each new one in there.
Perfect.
But
let's take a trip, Chris, to lovely Havana, Cuba.
Let's.
For this can called Iron Beer Soft Drink. This one is I think like a very classic traditional. This is like a soda, like a cola, like a classic cola that's very popular in Cuba. It's been being made there since 1917. Yeah.
Can I read the descriptor on the side? This is one of the best
anything
parts.
Anything I was just saying was from this can. It taught me everything about itself that I needed to know. So go
I
ahead.
want to give this can a voice. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do a horrible Cuban accent. I would be. I'm really bad at accents, to be clear. Also,
yeah,
that'd be
great.
Not a good idea for me.
That's one of the good reasons to steer clear of that.
Yes. On a summer's afternoon in 1917, a mule drawn. Maybe there'll be some sound effects under this. Maybe not. On a summer's afternoon,
are you going to put them, or are you saying you'll edit them in later? Or would you like?
I'd have to edit them in later, which means like, do I really want to put like a smashing glass here, and then oh man, someone. Oh yeah, you can do that. You can record the sound effects that will layer in later.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll record them.
You do
live.
it live.
That's what I was pitching. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good. I like that better.
But shh, go put that back.
And then we put that back. Great.
Yeah. Where you said
on a summer's afternoon in 1917, a mule-drawn wooden carriage arrived at a popular cafeteria in Havana, Cuba.
Hey, coffee.
It delivered the first 4 cases of a new soft drink that would soon be called the national beverage, in quotes.
What is this? What is this? I've never seen this before. Well, it's new. It's brand new. Oh, okay. And I'm sorry, you'd think we just carry this day one? You didn't have a... No, I called ahead. I talked to your manager. He said you guys were willing to stock it. Oh, you know what? That's on me, man. Sorry. I came in hot. It's been a long morning. But I appreciate it. We'll just put them in the back display. Front display, actually, we had kind of negotiated ahead of time. Okay.
Now, more than 80 years later, Iron beer is still enjoyed for its refreshing flavor with just a hint of island spices. A lot can change over the years, but not the original flavor of Iron beer.
Yeah, they mark it really strong up top here. Original 1917 flavor.
Yes.
Despite the fact that I'm seeing now bottled in Doral, Florida. Is Florida where
I think it's the soda capital. Also, just a small grammatical thing I'm noticing on the can.
Yeah.
All of it is in italics, the text, except for Iron beer. It's in all caps and just not italics. But for some reason, the is after the first Iron beer is not in italics. It's the only word that's not in italics.
Somebody over highlighted.
Yeah. Or somehow there's supposed to be a read that is intended to be, because when you have all your text in italics, then when it's not in italics, that's supposed to be italicized word.
It should be read as, now more than 80 years later, Iron beer is still enjoyed for its refreshing flavor.
Which maybe works. We'll give them the benefit of doubt.
Still enjoyed. Yeah, that works. That tracks Doral, Florida's Iron beer.
Now I'm going to tap on the top of this. And then I'm going to open it.
Oh yeah, give me all this inside soda tricks that I never learned.
Well, did you not ever do this? Because
no, I know
always
this
did
it, beer,
but I never know what it does.
It moves the bubbles away from the surface. I don't know.
It always says like, oh, it's not going to spray all over you. Then in that case, but I'm like, well, what are we doing? Aren't we shaking it up more kind of by subtly tapping it?
It feels like it.
All right, here we go. Good sounds. Ready? Oh yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, to Iron beer. 100 years.
Iron beer.
Unchanged. I'm going to take
Iron beer soft drink. The original 1917 flavor. I'm going to pour this one to give a little
visual aid.
It's in a can, just to give a visual aid.
Okay.
So it's looking very soda-y. I think it looks like a... I think we might be just in a straight, in a Coke, Pepsi type of world.
I'm smelling it, and I'm smelling what seems to be I'm getting like a RC Cola kind of vibe. Not a full Coke or Pepsi kind of smell, but my kid brain that was really picking up the nuances between those types of colas is smelling a bit of an RC vibe.
Yeah, you told me you had a very distinguishing cola palate.
Yeah, let's take a little sip here.
Yeah, it's got a normal amount of bubbles. Maybe more visual bubble than a Mr. Cucumber.
That's good. There's the spices part of it.
Yeah.
It's almost giving me like a root beer vibe in there. There's a sweetness to this as well.
Well, we'll get to something root beer adjacent.
Oh, hang on a second. Spoilers.
So now here's what's blowing my mind. Visual bubbles, way more visual bubbles than a Mr. Cucumber.
But
mouthfeel bubbles, way less.
Yes, totally agree.
Mr. Cucumber was like Pop Rock City over here.
What is that? How does that work then? Are there does that mean that certain carbonated bubbles can be like timed release bubbles?
Does that make sense?
Like that they can be dormant bubbles, and then they're like, well, we're catalyzing with the salivary amylase, and now we've got ourselves, it's bubble time.
Or is it possible that it's because one I was drinking straight out of the thing and one I poured into a cup? No, it was still different even when I drank it. It was different for you.
Yeah. No, it definitely was. I drank out of the can. I'm liking this.
On episode 2 of Sodats What Dut Tastes Like, we might do research about what carbonation's like.
This is establishing all the follow-up questions that we would then answer. Yeah. You know,
we're learning.
Yeah, I'm loving this. And I'm gonna be getting a nice little sugar rush here shortly.
I am
so
already.
It's gonna
I don't drink sugary beverages at all. I found iron beer quite sweet, and I don't drink. I don't know if it's sweeter than like a regular.
It's definitely
Coke
sweeter
or Pepsi,
than
but
Coke
it's definitely
or Pepsi,
and
it's
in a sweet world for sure.
It is so far the most soda. It feels okay. It feels to me like, yes, that's a very defined soda cliche product.
Well, I'll keep us in what I assume to be a sweet zone, because I think that I've heard of this, I've never had it, but I think it is in the sort of root beer adjacent family. Why don't you grab the Red Ribbon Soda Works Birch beer?
We're back in glass bottle. Now this is feeling kind of feeling nice and artisanal.
This one appears to be a twist off.
Oh wow! So we've gone but we had a twist off to start. Then we had a can.
But this is the kind you would pop, but it gives you the option of twisting. I'll pop it just to give us
another sound.
Sensation.
Saying this is caffeine free, very low sodium. That's what it's pointing out.
Yeah,
made with cane sugar. So we're talking like this is like classic kind of Coke stuff, not like.
Yep. But then birch is a tree.
Very interesting.
So it's going to have like a tree, it's going to taste like a tree.
This one says it was established 1904. So we're talking 13 years before iron beer. That was all about its year. It was all about over 100 years. These guys don't really go.
They're not promising that they've maintained the flavor.
That sure, you know? they've
Iron
gone through
beer
other.
Was like we did the classic thing. They might be reworking the recipe over at Red Ribbon Soda Works.
I'm twisting mine off here.
I didn't get a very good. Oh, you got a much better sound. I talked over it, but that was a much better sound.
It's that twist. And you know us, a couple sketch guys. We love our twists. Red Ribbon, brought to you by Chris and Jack. No, we're sponsoring sodas. It's not the other way around. Okay. Okay. So you're smelling. Tell me what you're smelling.
It's kind of root beery. It's like a root beer.
Very root beery. Yep.
Do you like root beer?
I'm not a huge root beer guy.
Me neither.
Bottoms up.
This podcast goes through, I feel like we should cast people who like sodas.
It was always, but root beer was always so funny because it was always like, it was always prevalent, especially at like kids' parties and stuff. And it was always that big thing of like, guys, root beer floats tonight. And I was always like, hey, that's cool. I like a root beer float with the ice cream. I like what it does. It's nice that's in there. But I'm also like, can we make it a Coke float?
I was the kid who always did just the ice cream for me, please.
Oh, that's a good move too.
Kid.
I was too nervous to not fit in socially, so I always stomached the kind of like, I'm not really enjoying this, but the ice cream part I'll do, and then I'll kind of chug it all down at the end. So let's see what this root beer is like and whether or not my palate has changed.
Bottled in Natrona, Pennsylvania.
I mean, that's full on root beer as I remember this tasting.
But it's different. It's made from a tree. That's why I picked it. It tastes like root beer to me.
Yeah. It's also, I'll say carbonation wise, not very carbonated.
Not very carbonated
syrupy.
At all. Sweetness, unbelievably. Fucking insanely sweet. I'm gonna get a headache.
Yep. We'll balance this out with just salt packets at the end. I'm gonna say that I'm still enjoying it, but it's like what's interesting about root beer, and especially like what I'm gathering is like, you know, more serious root beer enthusiasts, traditional root beer kind of stuff. Granted, maybe this isn't super traditional because it comes from a birch tree as opposed to a root, but
Yeah.
The flavor
and now I'm realizing, are the roots just roots of birch tree? Is this actually...
We're going to do our research in this follow-up podcast while these questions are going to answer.
This second episode of this one's going to be good. It's just going to be a mailbag where people explain shit to us from our first podcast.
The thing about root beer, though, is that there is a little bit of a medicine-y vibe, right? There's kind of a little bit of a like, you get the licorice-y,
bitter medicinal notes, which I like in stuff. Like, I'm a big, I like Amaros, you know? I like a very herbal liqueur.
I don't know what Amaros is.
Amaro.
Oh,
like the plural of Amaro. An Amaro is like a Fernet Branca, or it's like a after dinner liqueur that's typically notably bitter and medicinal. That's like the appeal of it, and it like, you know, feels very like refreshing after like a heavy. It's very Amaros are very common in Italian food, and love it.
It's like hey, let's you know, we'll a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. I don't know. There's something like that.
But those are not sweet, so that's
right.
why
So I guess
like
that's
this
fundamentally the opposite of what I just said. Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Right.
I guess in that case, the sugar is the alcohol that helps. Yeah,
the medicine go down.
But no, you should try like a nice after dinner. We should when we see each other in the world again. Let's have a nice after dinner drink. We should have a dinner. That sounds good.
That makes sense, actually.
Next time we have dinner.
I like the idea of like, we have dinner separately, but we come together for the, and then we've just exchanged care packages of after dinner nice liqueurs. All right. I'm feeling like I'm starting to get a little ranking system here. I'm not going to tell you what I've got.
My guess is, if you like a root beer, that was probably really good.
Yes. I
think it was a well-made root beer. I did find it too sweet, but I don't like that.
We are a subjective audience, but I think we're learning about each other through this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
We have 3 more bottles. By the way, I'm looking at these. I'm curious where you're steering us, because now it's looking like we're getting a little wilder.
Let's go. I'd like a bright. I'd like to take a turn towards the bright, refreshing. So let's grab the mochi sparkling drink, yuzu, red shiso, and apple.
Can I read the side of the label here?
Please.
I'll say it's a very pleasing bright red color.
Yeah.
This is red shiso and apple,
which is like a minty herb that's very common in Japanese food. You've definitely had shiso. In a lot of times it's on or with sushi. You've definitely had it.
I've got there's a couple little things on these labels. I'm looking at the upper part, the top here. Yuzu skin is full of aromatic essential oils that may settle at the top of your drink. Interesting. So we might
there is I got some at the bottom, but there is sort of a sediment layer.
Don't freak out. It's just yuzu oil, is what they say.
Yuzu is like a Japanese citrus that is delicious.
I'm not going to freak out. That's all I know.
Don't freak out, dude. Also, I'm realizing I when I said like we're going on a little trip around the world, all of these are bottled in the US. I was like, we're going to Cuba, we're going to Japan. This one's from Brooklyn. And the other one was from Florida.
All East Coast, though. It's still getting us on a little bit of a trip.
Trip around. Yeah, for us, it's a trip.
You know, ingredients come from all around the world. Here's what the label says. Life is full of what ifs. What if you're feeling bold and want a drink to match? Pop open a bottle of shiso apple yuzu mochi and turn that if into now.
Cracking it.
Life is full of what nows. Love that.
Okay, Chris.
Okay.
This was the one that I picked thinking I would like it. This flavor profile.
Oh boy.
Exactly. Is the like these ingredients are this plus liquor was a cocktail at a gyoza bar that Lisa and I went to in Kyoto 2 years ago when we went to Japan. And it was like a slushie of these, and it was my favorite thing in the world. And I thought It was the name of a drink that was common there, and so I asked for it everywhere else we went on the trip, and it became very clear to me, like, that was just the name of the drink that they had at this bar. They called it a bayasu. Don't know what that means. But it was yuzu, shiso, apple, and the smell is taking me right back, and I'm very excited to try this.
You got to describe it. It smells so good. There's a sweetness that's coming out, but there's still like an earthiness that's behind it too.
You definitely get the like herbal notes of the shiso, and then there is the like bright acidy yuzu thing too.
It's also reminding me.
I mean, we're good casting for this.
Great.
We're so good at describing
foodies,
this.
Man. It's got. But what it's bringing up in my mind, which to give you some perspective on the difference between two of us. By the way, I've not sipped mine yet.
Nor have I.
I'm just smelling it, but it's really reminding me of like the bad. I have the worst comparisons, but I feel like there's like a real fruit snack kind of thing going on here too. There's like a a. Yeah, I'm really thinking of like kind of like a white shark.
We pointed out that the soft texture white shark, not the springy blue shark. No, I get that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we pointed out that the cucumber one tastes like cucumbers, the birch beer one tastes like root beer.
Yeah.
And this one smells like a white shark. Okay, let's try it.
Here we go.
That's nice.
All right.
Now this, not too sweet.
That was my first statement I was going to say too, is that we're definitely veering out now of the sweet land. It's sweet, but it's not like...
It's still sweet.
It's not the kind of drink that you would drink and at the end be like, okay, had a lot of sugar there. This doesn't feel... No. There's a fruit vibe to this.
Oh, I like this. This I would just sip on or make a cocktail out of.
Oh, yeah. Carbonated water, organic cane sugar, 100% yuzu juice, apple juice, concentrate, red shiso juice, concentrate, natural flavors, fruit and vegetable juice. For color, citric acid. Vegetable juice. No artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. A lot going on in there, but really, I'd like to just really highlight, for me, the experience on my palate. I think it's really complex, yet simple. I feel like it really kind of like, the carbonation doesn't overpower you. It carries you. It lifts you.
Yeah. The subtle flavors really push through the fatigue I have from drinking so much sugary stuff. So that's nice.
That's a real important thing to put on future copy for the labels.
Yeah.
Helps you recover from the previous soda sugar crash. Don't freak out.
It's for if you didn't just like that root beer.
Yeah.
My timer's going off. That was 30.
Okay, we got 2 more to get through then. We
got 2 more.
We gotta kind of cruise here real quick.
Yeah, I also left a lot of the intro in. I started the clock before I really explained what was going on, so that was my fault. But not to spoil the ending so far, but clear favorite for me. This one, I'm getting the shiso. It could be a little yuzu-y for me. It could be a little more citrusy. Chris, let's do the McFuddy's.
Ooh,
distinctively strong pepper elixir.
Handcrafted, luck infused, curses timidness and satisfies the daring. McFuddy.
This is from Mukilteo, Washington.
Yeah.
All around the world. We're on the West Coast now. The last one is from Japan, I'm positive.
Is it? But McFuddy is feeling really Irish, right? There's like obviously they've got luck
McFuddy could be Irish or Scottish. So we are all around the world.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All around the world.
This doesn't look like to be a twist off.
No, you can't twist. You gotta pop it. McFuddy's distinctively strong pepper elixir.
How about that? How about that little ASMR moment there? Okay.
Ooh. That's not what I expected that to smell like at all.
No, it looked like it's dark. It looks like it should be like a root beer again. But it's got
another flavor that I can't describe.
Yeah, it's got a real sweet candy kind of thing going on.
It's very candy, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. There's a specific.
There's almost a Jolly Rancher kind of.
Yeah.
Something happening there.
I get Jolly Rancher vibes. I don't get anything peppery.
No. So maybe that's what's going to come.
Let's see if
that's the slow release. That's these flavors will self-destruct in 5 seconds kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Sipping.
I'll say sweet, not getting a lot of peppery. Carbonation feels perfect, though. I feel really good on the carbonation balance with this guy.
I've never had a Dr. Pepper. I'm sure I've had a Dr. Pepper. Is this what a Dr. Because Dr. Peppers aren't peppery. Is this what a Dr. Pepper tastes like?
That's a great guess. I haven't had a lot of Dr. Peppers in my day either.
We're such bad hosts in this podcast.
You picked a thing that like
really put us in such a corner that I was like, let's try a soda podcast, and neither of us have had Dr. Pepper.
I mean, I've had it. It's reminding me of Dr. Pepper, that loose memory. I haven't had Dr. Pepper. Honestly, I probably haven't had a Dr. Pepper in 20 years. But what I do remember of it was like, I don't think Dr. Pepper's for me. So I'm not going to have a lot more. But I remember Dr. Pepper's all about like, we got so many flavors in there.
Yeah.
And the pepper part of it, I'm curious why, because it's a pepper elixir. So presumably pepper elixir. I'm curious if there is a type of.
But Dr. Pepper, it isn't pepper, right? It's just like, that's his name. But the actual, like, it's like beet root or something.
So is
the flavor.
Pepper then referring to maybe that like, hey, the pepper family.
Like the Dr. Yeah, like Dr. Pepper.
Or a literal family member of Dr. Pepper went off.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's prune. Dr. Pepper is a prune juice.
Oh.
Does this taste pruny? Man, what are we doing?
Again, it's the moment that someone tells me to do a flavor, like, tell me what you're actually tasting. And I'm like, you tell me first, and I'll verify if I get that or not.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah. I'm really curious.
It says distinctively strong pepper elixir.
I mean, if pepper is prune, then sure, it's strong prune. I wouldn't think that's a prune.
Yeah.
I went through a real prune phase too, by the way. Just loved me having like snacking on prunes. They're really tasty.
Prunes are nice.
Yeah.
I think this I could see this as if someone was like, yeah, I could see if this is I could see this being prune before I could see this being pepper. I don't get a pepper thing.
Yeah. I'm curious for this last one, Jack.
Yeah. So this is
the one that when I pulled it out of the box, I was like really curious to try this.
This is by Tomomasu, a Japanese soda company. It's a durian cider.
Durian?
Do you know what durian is?
Isn't that the smelliest?
Yeah. Is that okay? So it's banned on Singapore subways. But the fruit is. I don't know if the soda is going to be that
Oh my
stinky.
God.
It's banned on certain subways and stuff because some people don't like the smell. Some people find the smell too strong.
Some people find the smell to be.
I've never had durian.
Some people find the smell to be like rotting flesh is what the smell is.
Yeah. Have you had durian?
No, but a friend of mine did when I was on Blue Man tour. My stomach's already turning, by the way, just from how he described the durian experience. So the fact that this may be durian as it smells.
But maybe love durian.
But people love it.
Some
maybe it's like one of those.
Durian.
Yeah. So it's a carbonated
yes, it
beverage.
is supposed to. People will often say that it's like, it's like a delicious, fruity flavor that you're drinking near a toilet, or eating. But it's like the durian fruit is like creamy and it's got like a big fleshy inside.
Yeah.
But this, we'll see. I did try to find a review online. And the only one I could find in English for this soda was just someone saying, "What? It smells so bad. What happened?"
Oh,
but I don't know.
My God. So are we gonna?
Let's crack it.
Are you gonna crack this?
Let's crack it.
All right, I'm cracking this. I'm like sweating now. I'm nervous. I'm already nervous.
And keep in mind, I don't like soda. Oh, is it super carbonated?
Oh, that's the one that's already exploding on me. Oh, okay.
Not a fan? Oh, wow. That is a strong smell. Well, I'll say, I got a very strong, kind of unpleasant smell right at the beginning, and then it settled into a place that I don't mind at all.
There's I don't know, man. I'm
no
bringing
pressure.
Well, maybe I'm getting more accustomed to it. The initial vibe was
That's
like really like
settled for me.
Was really like rotting smell, and then now it's kind of said. Well, then it went to like a bile place for me, but then now it's kind of in this place of I don't know. It's ebbing and flowing for me.
It is for me as well. I'm getting a lot of back and forth on this. There's definitely a sweet undertone. There's definitely like a fruity soda-y sweet undertone. But some of the overtones are strong.
And this is the one, of course, to spray all over my desk.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Yeah. That wasn't intentional.
Well, I mean, I gotta get this over with. I gotta sip this real quick.
Yeah, give it a try. That is there's a physical sensation to this that I can't describe.
Nausea? Is that the one?
It's not nausea. It's like drying me out in an intense way. I find this pretty intense.
There's yeah, my nose is starting to run. There's when it first went in, it had it tasted like it smelled, and then the aftertaste, it's kind of landing in a kind of still like creamier place.
Yeah, there's a real savory thing here.
Yeah. This turned into a bit of fear factor for me by the end. I didn't anticipate
did not
that.
intend that. So I'm sorry about that.
My feet are sweating. I can sense it.
So this is what everyone says about durian, that it's like a real like hits you in the spot or does not. Lisa loves durian, I know. So I was like, oh, maybe it's something that I would like too. I did not immediately. I'll tell you that. But this is a durian tonic, so it also. Yeah. No one has told me that this is a good version of a durian.
No,
like,
I mean this is not a. I don't know. I'm assuming that this is probably a more toned down durian that we experienced. Yeah. That this wasn't cracking it open and eating the flesh right there.
Right.
But I do feel like this was a great little like gateway into that world.
I'll say when picking these out, my genuine hope was like, oh, that's a thing. That's like a thing people have talked about a lot that I've never tried. That'd be fun. Maybe I'll love it. And I came in with an open mind, and my immediate reaction is not positive. I'm gonna have some more of the yuzu soda.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow it up with a little Mr. Cucumber, I think.
So we don't need to rank the whole thing. We're looking for our favorite and our least favorite. That's what we're just going to quickly reflect
upon. And our
most
surprising, maybe.
Yes, sure.
I'm going to say my favorite, or I'm going to say my least favorite also ties for most surprising. It was the durian one. I'll be honest.
I'm going to say, for me, experience of drinking them, that I'll definitely agree most surprising. I didn't like it, but I enjoyed trying it. Whereas the birch beer one was just like, oh yeah, I know that I do not like root beer.
Birch beer was my bottom of the other ones. That was my second.
Yeah.
But I almost like don't want to fully. The durian one is so unique that it feels almost in a category of its own. I don't want to like knock it because I also am. It was the most exciting of all of them.
And favorite for me was the yuzu red shiso and apple by Moshi.
Same for me.
Okay.
Look at us, huh?
So Moshi were available for sponsorship.
I want to know real quick, rapid fire, your ranking. Let's see if we did it exactly the same.
Sorry, I just had a little burp. And I did not enjoy it. There's too many flavors happening.
Yeah, there's a lot to take in here.
My rankings, number 1, Moshi's Yuzu Red Shiso and Apple.
Same.
Number 2, Mr. Cucumber.
Same.
Number 3, Iron Beer.
That's where we
soft
swapped.
Drink. You went McFuddy's?
I went McFuddy.
Number 5, birch beer, and not on the list. It's its own world.
Yeah.
And we should just respect what it is.
It is all over my desk.
Well, that concludes So That's What That Tastes Like, and we found out exactly what a durian tonic tastes like. It tastes like that, and we were totally in love with it. Okay, thank you, that podcast.
Yeah!
Yay!
What a sensory adventure.
Yeah.
That
We'll
was.
decompress about it at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know why I chose that. I don't like sodas. But let's jump into the next one.
But do you like music? And do you like the origins of music? Well, if so, and do you like lies?
No, I don't.
Because if so, then you're gonna love my next podcast. It's called Behind the Lyrics, But Wrong. Here's the way this podcast is gonna work, okay? I'm gonna set my timer here. The idea here is that I know that there are times where, there's behind the lyrics type of shows. Behind the lyrics kind of, I feel like there are times where like interviews, people will, like artists will come on, talk about their songs and about what might have inspired them and whatnot. So what I thought might be fun, considering that really neither of us are like have any top hits out there right now as musicians.
You did recently release a song.
I did recently release a song.
And dear friend Sean.
It's not a top
charting hit
It's
yet.
not on the Billboard charts yet, but I don't think they push out where it's going to be the overall rankings until the end of the year. We're more looking at like, was it the song of the summer?
They do every week, right? The Billboard charts, but you're saying they're going to do like a comprehensive one, and it could be songs that weren't on at any other point, is what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. I think it's probably the best thing for us. I think probably once all of those most listened to Here Was Your Year in review Spotify things start to come out and people screen grab that and it's like, oh my gosh. And then everyone realizes like, oh, everyone was listening to Swipe You Right by Non-Funkable. Shout out.
You don't need to be perfect, babe. Our selection for connection is dancing through the steps tonight.
Then the Billboard people will be like, oh, we missed that one.
Go back.
How do we miss that one? Go back, adjust the charts.
Do the Billboard charts? Sorry, important question. Very important question. Do the Billboard charts now like just count Spotify streams? I have so many little carbonation aftershocks.
I see why you're deathly afraid of carbonation now.
Look what it's done to me.
Yeah.
They probably count like Spotify plays and stuff, right? It's not because like the standard was like, it used to be how many times it was like spun by DJs was like on the radio. I doubt that's still.
They must do stream numbers. I mean, I wonder if it's got to be, across all platforms because obviously they can't say Spotify has the monopoly.
Yeah. Well, so everybody out there, mail in, tell us what's going on with the Billboard charts, explain sodas to us, teach me about root beer. And
because we are experts. And as experts, this actually is going to play in perfectly because in this podcast pilot that we're going to be auditioning here, the point is that we aren't experts, but we're pretending to be.
Okay.
What we're going to do is we're going to look at the lyrics to a song.
Okay.
And we're going to kind of invent what we believe were the reasons behind the lyrics. I want to do a deep dive into a song, but I want us to make up all of what's been going on. What led to this song as we are seeing it? I think we're going to kind of get more microscopic on the lyrics and talk about them in a line-to-line way. And then to avoid...
what was the David Coulier to this... You ought to know.
Exactly. And so we are going to, and then at the end, I think we're going to sing the song to avoid copyright because inevitably you'd want to play it back later. But I wanted to avoid copyright issues because obviously they're really policing Patreon.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how they do it on the Now That's What I Call Music podcast that we'll all be listening to as homework.
Yes.
But yeah, we can sing it. I think that's a good pitch.
Yes.
Are we picking the song now, or have you picked a song?
I've picked a song primarily because it was the one that I was like, oh, what's a song? And that was the first one that popped in my head.
Okay.
I just copied the lyrics in an email to you. The song that we're going to be breaking down is Monster Mash by Bobby Pickett.
What? Why was Monster Mash the first song that popped into your head? Did you give yourself this prompt, or were you just like, what's a song? Oh, Monster Mash is a song.
What's an evergreen song I listen to any time of the year? Monster Mash.
Monster Mash.
Obviously.
Monster Mash? Song of the summer.
Song of the summer, man. I don't know why, but that did pop into my mind generally as like what's a song? Huh. He did the mash. All right, perfect. That's
Great.
the song. But I like.
Isn't Monster Mash like a highly narrative song?
Yes. That's why I like that there's a behind the lyrics thing here, is that we can talk about it a little bit. Get into it. I also don't know fully if we're in character as the Boris Karloff.
Boris Karloff, co-written with Lenny Capizzi, it says in my email.
Yes. Important to remember. I want to keep it open in this podcast as to whether or not we are playing as in the reality of the song, or if we are pretending to be Bobby Pickett. What do you feel like is the better approach, the more fun approach?
I'm so open.
I'd like us. Here's what I think is going to happen. I actually think it's a fusion of the two. I think it's the fusion of the two because.
Are we Chris and Jack, or are we Bobby Pickett and Lenny Capizzi? Are we doing like an improv exercise where we?
Yes, we
tell back the story.
Yes, we are Bobby Pickett and Lenny Capizzi, and then what we're also going to do is that I want us to improvise in this reality.
Okay.
I want this song to have been based off of some sort of autobiographical experience that they had. Okay.
All right. Well, it was written by Bobby Pickett. It was co-written by Lenny Capizzi. So I'll be Lenny Capizzi, and I'm going to give you the task of this happened to you. I find it fascinating that you didn't choose a sort of poetic, lyrical song that it's like, what does this even mean? We're going to figure out what it means. You chose a deeply narrative Halloween. Yeah. Great.
Well, the reason too is because obviously
it's not criticism.
For the pilot, when we would actually release this pilot, we would actually release this pilot around Halloween. To make sure that when we make this our public podcast, you have to have the runway now to be able to then be like, we decided it's this one, and then our first episode is coming out of Halloween, so people are streaming it, right?
And is this in behind the lyrics?
Yes, I'm listening, of course.
Is it always Monster Mash? Maybe we decide that. We can decide that later.
Afterwards. We decide how deep we need to go in this. Right.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Without further ado, this is behind the lyrics, but wrong, or behind the lyrics. Hi, everybody. So this is Bobby Pickett.
Hey, Lenny Capizzi here. And thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yeah, we're a little nervous. This is kind of our first time doing podcasting.
It's 1962, so for us, this is just like, what is a computer?
Yeah. But we were able to get some technology teleported back in time to us that we gathered and put together, and we're sending these files to the future.
And we would love to tell you that story and the secret to time travel, but we're here today to
talk
explain
about
in detail our songwriting process for the pretty self-explanatory Monster Mash.
But we were told by someone who had some brilliant idea in the future that someone needed a real breakdown of what inspired some of these lyrics. Now, the thing about it, though, it's actually a brilliant question that this person posed, because some might assume that this was just like some fictitious, made-up, farcical, down-the-line narrative thing. But the reality is, I simply recreated in song form an experience that actually happened to me.
I'd love for you to jump into that story, Bobby. I do want to make clear to our listeners, you used a lot of artistic license. You know, the song opens with, I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight, for my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly to my surprise he did the monster mash. Now that's not literally what happened to you.
Right.
You're not a lab scientist.
I'm
You
not.
did not create a monster, but a little closer than people might assume.
Yeah.
Your personal experience.
Yes. There was enough there for me to start to see that there was a song here.
Yeah.
Like that in this story, as my experience played out, I definitely knew. I was like, well, this is obviously going to be a story I'm going to tell Lenny soon.
Yeah. I heard it. I was like, yeah, baby. That's a song.
Yeah. Which, credit to you, man. Lenny brings the thunder. Okay.
Yeah.
Lenny's all the music. I'm more the idea guy. I'm more the lyrics guy on our typical work.
One of my big ideas a lot of times is somebody says it and then somebody does a Boris Karloff voice after and says it again. So someone says, he did the mash. He did the monster mash.
Yes,
you know?
yes,
That's
yes.
sort of that's the sauce I bring to the dish, you know?
Right. Which is a nice little segue for the origins of this event that happened to me. So I was not working in a lab late one night. I was in my kitchen.
Get that out of your head.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, get that out of your head right now.
You can see the connection because I was in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And I was cooking. So some people, it's like the lab it's a comp, you know, you're like a chef making a concoction. It happens.
Yeah. And Bobby's got a home studio. He's constantly working from home. So popping into the kitchen and still a creative space for him. You know, he's
and
in the
I find
flow.
it's very meditative to be working on something, keeping my hands in motion because I'm also, you know, I'm a musician. I play instruments. And that instrument, I more think of it by my hands as the true instrument because put anything in those hands and I'll play them.
Magic's
in this
gonna
instance,
happen.
What's that?
I said magic's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Thank
just
you.
sort of very softly yesing what you
were
said.
kind of doing your Boris Karloff follow-up kind of lyric situation.
Magic in his hands.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so this is where it gets a little crazy, Lenny, if I may. You know where this is going. But
of course.
But basically, so I'm in here. My intention is to make a straight up traditional, I was cooking for dinner, but it was around lunchtime. I was pre-cooking, so I was making some chicken. Because I want to have
good. Don't leave out a detail, you know?
No.
Get it all in there.
Yeah. So I was
cooking. You were prepping.
You were prepping
for lunch.
I was going to roast some chicken, takes some time, takes a couple hours. So I was prepping the chicken.
And then was that going on like a salad?
It was going to be, I was going to plate it. I was going to have potatoes, chicken, and broccoli.
Because, you know, they probably just around this year we currently live in, invented the Cobb salad at the Brown Derby in Los Angeles, near where we live. So I was wondering if you were trying out one of those hot new Cobb salads.
That was a bit too exciting for me. Yeah. That was a bit like, I'm not traditionalist.
People are freaking out right now.
They're freaking out right now. I don't think it's going to last.
I'm assuming, I'm explaining this because I'm sure by the time whatever future year we're sending this to, you're going to be like a Cobb salad, and then you'll look it up in a history textbook at your library, where everyone looks stuff up. You'll go pan through some microfiche and find out that this wacky invention, the Cobb salad, quickly fell out of favor.
It's a real flash in the pan, it was for me. Getting that broccoli going, you know. There's some spices down on top of that.
It's very helpful when either of us use a food metaphor. It immediately reminds you.
It certainly does.
Of your story.
So I'm here. All right. So I'm here cooking some chicken. I move on to peeling potatoes because guess what I'm making? Some mashed
chicken
potatoes.
And potatoes. Oh, mashed potatoes. Yeah,
right?
Sure.
So I'm starting to prep the potatoes. I'm starting to wash them and then put the potatoes in the sink. Wash the potatoes.
Soak them.
Leave them be. As I'm letting it soak, I'm letting the water run on top of the potatoes. Then I'm going back over.
You said you'd already peeled them at this point.
Yes. So now I'm letting it soak.
Okay.
Kind of getting off any of the grime or any of the other stuff. As they're in my sink soaking,
I
am. I turn on a light nearby.
And suddenly, to your surprise,
the
what'd you say?
potatoes came to life.
Okay, so he told me this story. I'm like, that's a song, baby. Now, when you say they came to life,
Did
they were moving of their own accord?
They had formed into the shape of like two legs, two arms. So there was
a potato man made of potato, not like the individual potato.
Not the potato. No, it was a man
formed arms
made
and
of
legs.
Potatoes. Yes.
How many would you say? How many potatoes to compromise a full potato monster?
I'll say this looked like a potato monster to me, made up of 13 potatoes.
Okay, good ballpark.
I also like to overcook the amount I'm going to have because you know me, I'm working a lot, so I want to make sure that I store some potatoes away for future meals.
Yeah. If you're mashing, you're making at least 13, so you can portion it out for the week, you know? Some meals last a long time, unlike these freaking crazy-ass Cobb salads. You got to make it and eat it fresh or it goes bad terribly. But you make a little extra potatoes.
Lenny, I feel uncomfortable dropping this Cobb salad stuff all the time. They're not going to have any clue what we're talking about.
All right, cut it out, man. Listen, cut out all of this stuff. This only has to be a half an hour. Obviously, we can talk for an hour and a half about the origin of Monster Mash. I mean, you're only just now introducing the monster, and what? We've been talking for like 2.5 minutes already. This is a half an hour easy.
The thing that sticks out most for me, what's so fun about what that experience was and the retelling of it is that yes, it was unnerving and jarring seeing a sink of potatoes form into a being, and I'll tell you where it goes in a second. But also in the retelling of it to Lenny, you should have seen his face. You should have seen his face.
I'm playing it real cool right now. When I first heard this, I just about lost my damn mind.
Yeah.
And I was hospitalized for 3-4 weeks.
But that's where really the tone that you hear, I don't want to get ahead of your story, but also a lot of the melody and stuff, you'll notice some sound bed in the song based off of the hospital sounds that you were hearing during that time.
And my shocked wails trying to reconcile my life with what I thought existence had previously been were the direct inspiration for the wows. So that's a fun little fact for you.
Yeah, that's around the chorus area. So for me, the events that led to Potato Man coming to life was sink full of water, turn on a light bulb flickered. My guess is that it was a cross electrical situation that then got an electrical current into the water itself. And I don't know if you know this, Lenny, but potatoes are actually great conduits for electricity. You put, have you seen that where you can put like a potato and plug a light bulb into it?
I've seen the classic potato battery. I believe my youngest daughter did that at the science fair. What I've never seen, but choose to believe, is that sometimes a potato, while conducting electricity, also like inherits the soul of a recently dead prison inmate?
That's what it told me.
Okay.
That's what it told me.
That I've never seen.
No. But I have, and I can verify that this guy, Lenny Cruz, his soul somehow came back into my sink of potatoes. And he suddenly said...
for me, it's like, that was part of what blew my mind, is like, you were talking to a dead Lenny, and I heard that, and I was like, is this about to be me? Is this me trying to contact you from my future grave? Because obviously, we've known for a while that time travel and time communication is very possible.
Yes.
So hearing like, another Lenny returned, but no, just some other guy.
No relation.
And a lot of people are related by first names back here in the 60s. I don't know if that's still a thing.
Well, what's also interesting about the fact that its name was Lenny was what made me go to Lenny first to tell the story. Lenny and I aren't like great friends. We are collaborators, but I would definitely have other people I would tell this to first. I would tell my wife.
And not frequent collaborators. Our last, we got into a real rights dispute about who wrote itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. We both got kicked off. Neither of us got credit on it because we were causing such a shitstorm about it. So it's like, no, are we friends? No. Is my name Lenny? Yeah. So I guess talk to me about it.
Right. But I'd like to think
again,
this is what brought us again.
Freaking mind.
And really brought us closer, I think. So this potato man, Lenny Cruz, said, hey, I'm Lenny Cruz. What am I doing here? Who are you? I said, who are you? What are you? What's going on? Just then,
to my surprise,
an Elvis Presley track comes on.
Whoa.
Potato man gets quiet, starts dancing. I can't explain how surprised I was, but the best way I could was through some of the lyrics in the song here. So I did have a potato man come to life and then started to dance around, in the next phrase, like from my laboratory in the Castle East. Again, I live on the east side of Los Angeles. To the master bedroom or the vampire's feast. That was me. That's actually true. That was me going to my master bedroom in the house at the time to try and call some authorities.
And the vampire part was sort of...
Oh, that was just more of a like fun, like, if we're going to go Halloween, we should throw
rhymes with East. Got it.
Yeah. The ghouls all came from their humble abodes. That was the ghouls presumably were like, we're talking about, obvious. I think some of this is starting to become pretty obvious, but like that was more based off of like the soul that had possessed the potatoes. But what people don't realize is that we intended for this lyric to be Adobe, but we misspelled it on the sheet.
Yep. The ghouls all came from their humble adobe. So just know that.
And then,
cool.
To get a jolt from my electrodes, obviously they did the Monster Mash. And
naming it the Monster Mash, was that's just like a cool name of a dance, or was that had nothing to do with him being about to be mashed potatoes?
That had everything to do with it. No, that was definitely connected. Yeah, that
makes sense.
Yeah, that was more that I felt like once I noticed like, oh, you were supposed to be my mashed potatoes, but now you're a monster. You're monster mashed potatoes.
Yeah,
you're. Hang on a second, doing the Monster Mash.
And did you ask him why he was dancing and why that was?
Well, what I'm realizing now is that the soul was leaving his body and it was more of a writhing and not a dancing. But it was pretty awful and torturous to look at. So I tried to spin that. And my therapist told me I should spin it to more of a positive memory for me to try and like reconcile and understand what's going on there.
Talk to me about therapy, because I'm thinking I should try it. I did have that really explosive mental separation there, so I'll check that out sometime.
I think it's worth giving it a shot. I think that for me, it definitely, I think it repaired some things. But I feel like for you, I mean, you went to the hospital, they defibrillated your heart back, you're fine mostly. Yeah. So I don't know if there's really.
And I want to ask here. And I'm doing this from memory. I'm not reading ahead on the lyrics, but I have them in front of me, so it's useful.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this is something you snuck in during the record, because we wrote it together, but then, you were there producing on the day.
Yeah.
And so you might have taken some liberties. I do not at all remember that the backing verse says, the zombies were having fun. Wow. Tennis shoe is how it's written down in the lyrics that are transcribed here. Wow, tennis shoe.
I did, to be fair, I did sneak that in there,
but
that
got that one by me.
That was in production. That wasn't in actually when we were recording it as a lyric. It was later on. We found out that our main recording artist had left the microphones on in between, and I was going to a game of tennis, and I had left. I had lost my gear, and I was told that like, oh, you are so absent-minded, honey. Why are you not checking back at the studio? Why aren't you checking in the car? Why don't you? And I'm like, get off my back. I know the tennis shoe is somewhere here, honey. And then it led to kind of like a big old fight. That's honestly, I didn't want to touch on it, but that's honestly where the vampire lyric came. It was more of a dig at my. Oh, wow. And my wife, just kind of a vampiric kind of, she'd like to really go for the jugular on a lot of these fights at home. But it was more,
wow.
I found out later that it was indeed in the car all along. But when I went to the studio, I came and I was like, anyone seen tennis shoes.
Tennis shoe.
Yeah, I see my tennis shoe.
And they just left that in?
Well, I loved it. When I was hearing it back, and I was like, we're missing a rhyme here. I just thought it was real fun. Because I think it's important, too, to just note that, like, you know, a lot of what was around the events that led to this song was so terrifying and really affected us deeply that I think it was important that we had, like, an energy of positivity, some level of silliness.
Yeah. And if you're wondering at home, did it all come out straight in one go as Monster Mash? Was this kind of our first? No. I just want to be clear. This is what we landed on through some trial and error, but there were many drafts of Potato Man songs.
Yes.
We didn't just, you know, the artistic process, you got to be flexible. You got to negotiate with it. You got to trust the process and follow where it goes. But
do you want to tell them a couple of our other song titles?
Yeah, let me play them a little bit of Spud Bud. I was sitting in my kitchen just making some food. Everything was solid, yeah. The day was good until in my sink there suddenly appeared a tiny little man and he filled me with fear. Spud Bud. Spud Bud. Somebody find my tennis shoe. It snuck in there to a lot of them.
There's a real, I had to make sure that part was tonally consistent throughout.
Yeah.
And hey, we may re-release that track down the road, so you may be hearing this in the future realizing Spud Bud was played far more than Monster Mash, but Spud Bud is definitely still
you might be sitting there listening to Spud Bud eating a Cobb salad going, what are these guys talking about?
Yeah. Wow, the future will be something, huh?
Could be.
Do you have hopes for the future?
Hey, just trying to make it through every day. But you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see like a pyramid that's shaped like a boob. I don't know. Do you have any ambitions? Because that's just kind of what I thought would be cool. But again, I'm still trying to piece together a lot of damage done to my brain. And
I'm here for that journey with you because I'm most excited for what I'm a purist. I'm an artist. And I really feel like this is the beginning of many big hits for us. I'm really excited for the future creations that we have. And you have some crazy stories too that we've been kicking around basing future songs off of.
Yeah.
There was the time that you got
keep going.
Sorry
keep going.
I'm sorry to just laugh at your life circumstance. There's the time, there's the time that you literally, you did get bit.
Yep.
By a rabid dog walking your cat.
Yes, I did. It was really scary. There was also that time where I got lost driving and found myself on a highway to the danger zone. And maybe that's a song someday. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
we could try it.
We could. Well, we'll write that one down and we'll float it out to some contacts we have in town. We're kind of putting that around, just going to put out the feelers, see how people feel about that.
I pitched that to Bobby a couple times and it hasn't totally stuck yet, but I feel like there's something there. Can you see me driving? Can you see me out there on the road? I'm driving. Oh, if I park here, I'll get towed. Keep driving. Never, ever stop. Highway to the danger zone. Could be something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Who is the hitchhiking over there? Is it the devil? He does not seem to care. Devil may care. Devil definitely doesn't care. Highway to the danger zone. Could be something.
I know. You got to follow your heart. And you really should, because from what I gather, the shock was so intense from what hearing that story did to you that you have major heart problems.
Was in a coma for 4 weeks. Still piecing it all back together. But hey, got a big hit out of it.
Yeah.
Could be rich enough. Could be like, we're going to be rich on this thing. I'm talking like boob pyramid rich, you know? Really could contract some workers.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good podcast we're sending to the future.
If ever there was a time that really two friends get even closer, it's now. And I also realize that what I've learned through this experience has been like, what drives you, you know, what kind of brings us, this might be something that we can draw on. I also know that, like, you know, eventually maybe I might help submit some plans for what your mausoleum will look like.
Hey, couple fun ideas floating out there. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking notes.
But that's Monster Mash.
Yeah.
Largely,
Bobby
I feel
Lenny. Not that Lenny.
No. Please, no relation there. But we hope that this podcast will catch on in a flash. And so we're gonna play you out by singing a rendition of our hit song.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Monster Mash.
How much of it?
Just
like
the beginning.
You thinking
Just
the whole thing?
8 seconds worth. That's the end. I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. And that's time.
Okay.
You know, sometimes you just got to float out in the ether on these, man. You know,
So,
you just got to try
a-
new things. We're trying
It
pilots.
was a big idea.
I'll say I was laughing a lot, struggling not to.
For all the right reasons, I'm sure.
Getting more insight into Lenny. Oh, and that was a good game. You did the right pivot of the game. I was laughing because of like the stories when we were drawing on different stories that happened to you. I was just going to list a lot of like awful things that have happened in your life. I thought that was going to be the game. And then you pivoted to like, actual hits. And then it made my mind go like, oh yeah, what are the songs that
But we didn't do
missed?
any others.
Yeah,
we just stopped.
Yeah.
What I really liked is we got through really the main part of the lyrics immediately. Thinking like, oh yeah, I've got a half an hour of this.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's where a podcast shows it. That's where it's a podcast.
Yeah.
Is that it's now suddenly like, now we're doing deep dives. We're learning about these people.
Wow.
Yeah. I had a blast looking into the ether with you.
As did
we'll
I.
talk about that as the review, you know? We're in that phase now, Jack. We've come on the other side of these two, I'm going to say, hit podcasts.
Hit podcast potentially for sure. What was that one? Okay, so it was Sodats what tastes like, and behind the song,
Behind the lyrics, but wrong.
Yeah.
As we also were improvising, having what was that soda that we had at the end there?
A durian tonic.
Durian tonic coursing through our veins. So
Yes. I'm gonna be real. The amount of soda that we drank, which you'll see if you watch the video, I wasn't having huge swigs of any of these, but for me who doesn't ever drink them, I got a sugar headache like 2 in. It was intense for me. So right now I'm just rocking it. I'm just riding, feeling
riding
great.
a headache.
Let's talk about so that's what that tastes like, and talk about was it fun? Was it repeatable? And did it add value to the world?
I had fun. I had a blast. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think I probably had more fun than you did on the soda consumption side because I don't currently have a headache.
I got one kind of immediately.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I did it to myself. I know I don't like soda. I had fun. I had fun sort of in spite of myself of like, why? I did spend a lot of it going, why did I think this? Why should we have done this?
That was a lot of the questioning I was having in my podcast. To me that says it's probably not repeatable because going down that road of having so many sodas for you might not be a good life choice to line up for the sake of your head.
We could have guests and have them drink all the sodas.
That's true.
So
it's kind of like a Hot Ones, but it's that we never eat the wings.
Yeah, that's a rude host if we just never drink
and just laugh at them.
I could drink 6 sodas once a week or once every 2 weeks. That'd be fine. That'd be fine. But I'll tell you one aspect that might make it not that repeatable is, there was a good selection at this place I went to. It wasn't like there were hundreds of weird sodas. I think 6 was kind of a lot. We probably could have done 2.
I agree. We definitely like filled the full thing with 4 and then went for 2 more.
Added 2 more. So
did it add value to the world, Jack?
I think so. I'll betray a little. Sometimes I don't try to overthink these questions ahead of time or anything, but this is one where I was like, this could add value to the world. A review show, the idea of like reviewing something, of tasting something, reviewing something is like, we're experiencing something, we're sharing knowledge. I think where it maybe went a little wrong is I don't think that our opinions on sodas seemed valuable in any way. It didn't seem like we knew what we were talking about. Me especially.
It did add value to my world insofar as it tells me, oh, that's good research for me to do at some point. I'll learn more about that.
We could learn more about sodas. I'll say, and that Shiso soda, it added value to my world because that is one I would buy again and make a cocktail with. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But I would say overall, pretty fun, mildly repeatable, not that valuable. Like, if I was gonna, like, if I was, if there were a section of Yelp that was like, just show me all the reviews from people who don't like this thing anyways. How is this pizza place? I don't know. I don't like pizza very much. I think it was fine. That's not a very helpful review. So in that regard.
But in that way, we got to know our blind spots.
Yeah.
We got to know where we may not know everything. And that's okay because not everybody knows everything, Jack, and not everyone has to. But we're willing to go into the realms of what we don't know, such as the podcast Behind the Lyrics, but Wrong. Was it fun?
I had a lot of fun. There was a definite panic of what is it? What was it?
Yeah.
But I'll say I had a lot of fun.
The original intent was, I think there was a poor pairing on my part with, as you articulated well, the fact that the premise, it was a hat on a hat. It was, would have been fun of us taking something that was very like poetic and open and like up for interpretation and then kind of landing that and pretending like we wrote it or something. But then to pick the first song as a narrative that's very down the line with someone that's doing a character impression in the song itself, and then to portray the 2 real life individuals that wrote this song who we don't know anything about, and probably by painting them as the way we did is probably offensive to their families in some way. We don't have any association with Lenny Capizzi or Bobby Pickett, and we apologize to anyone and everyone that knows anything more about them, which is probably most people in the world. And so that might have been a small undersight on my part, but I think when we set ourselves up for failure, that's where the real gold comes out. I think there was some real gold in there.
I had a lot of fun for exactly the reasons you described. It was, though. It's so, once I realized, like, oh, this is so narrative, I was reading ahead. I was like, do we want to then just go like, up, and then these people came out and danced and just justify each of those things back into another story? It's just...
Was it repeatable? I think it'd be a repeatable one because you just pick a new song. You do it.
Yeah, sure. Very repeatable.
Or we just do a deep dive further into Bobby Pickett and and Lenny Capizzi every episode.
I do think we built a very compelling world to return back to for those guys.
Yes, of course.
To me, it just felt like half an hour is not enough.
No,
so
exactly.
much more to explore here.
Did it bring value to the world? Did it add value to the world?
I think, by definition, this one is one of the hardest no's, like one of the most, like, absolutely not. Where literally the premise of this one is we'll just say incorrect shit for a half an hour. We'll just pick a thing that's real. There is a real story of how this song was written, but it's not this. This is bullshit.
But maybe that is that what brings it value all along?
Wow. I mean, maybe somebody out there didn't know where the Cobb salad was invented.
So there's something there. And I think we introduced at least the actual two writers of the song.
Yeah, maybe you didn't know the name Lenny Capizzi.
Yeah.
Or
Bobby Pickett gets all the glory. What about Lenny? He's not on all that stuff.
You know?
No, I think it's probably the hardest yes for me on adding value to the world. I think that I really think that, I gotta find some scrap of hope that it wasn't a complete abysmal blimp failure.
It got one of the best Did We Have Fun ratings possible. We had so
truth.
much fun.
It's the truth. And I guess it's more that, did it bring value to the world, the alternate world that we built? Yeah, because the alternate world we built didn't exist until we built it. Yeah, exactly.
That's very valuable.
Would you say there's a winner for you in this one, Jack?
I would not.
Well, we'll leave it to you all as to whether or not there's a clear winner of this podcast. Head to head. I think probably the Soda one won. I enjoyed the structure. I enjoyed the journey. I didn't get a headache from it. So I had a blast. I think that one won, but I also had I had more fun in the other one. I was laughing. I had a lot of bigger laughs in the other one for myself. But they were fundamentally different. So yeah.
I think if you want, you can take the Soda one. You can do it with somebody who knows anything about soda. I think you and someone who likes soda, that's a podcast, man.
You say that as if I said anything of value in the descriptions of sodas. I said, this one's like a candy. This one is like, I don't taste the pepper. Could it be Dr. Pepper? What's Dr. Pepper? Oh yeah, the one soda I haven't drank for 20 years. Right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. And to play us out, Chris is going to remind us of the song that Lenny Capizzi wrote when he saw that cat when he was walking his dog and he got scared.
It's dog, cat, it's cat, dog. What bit me, I can't stop. Because my brain is slowly melting from the rabies. From the rabies.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thank you for listening, everyone. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.